Okay. So here's where we start. I'm going to just talk over you if you're not listening. So Betty is 3 years old, and Betty is wearing a blue dress. So I'm going to make a little box right here.
We should call her Betty Blue.
And I'm going to label this one as Betty, just so I remember. She's 3 years old. Now, Betty's parents said, you need to stay in the yard, okay? You should not be going anywhere other than this one specific space. You can have the backyard, the conclusion, or you can have the front yard, the introduction. Those are your two areas. You have to stay in the introduction or the conclusion. Okay? There's the first part of our story. Okay? Our exposition, if you will. Now, Betty is a feisty little 3-year-old, and she doesn't always obey her parents' rules. And instead of staying in the introduction and the conclusion, she ventures out of the yard, and she finds a huge green field. Okay? Betty goes and finds a huge green field. And this field is huge and it's beautiful. It's full of clover and grass. And it's just the most magnificent thing that Betty has ever seen. So she decides, I want to see every inch of this field of grass. I want to see everything. I want to go throughout this entire field. So your thesis, or your green, is go throughout. So Betty is now exploring every part of this green field. Okay? Now, Betty's going through and she's exploring all the different clovers, all the different kinds of grass, everything that's there. And she comes across a yellow yam. Now, if you know anything about yams, you know that, well, yeah, they're pretty gross. But you also know that they're not usually yellow. They're usually brown. But she finds a yellow yam, and it's neon. It's so bright. And Betty decides, this is it. This is what I want to focus on. I've looked over this whole acre of green grass, but I want to focus on this specific yam. I want to explore it. I want to know why it's yellow. I want to know everything that has to do with this yellow yam. Okay, so this is the topic. This is the one specific thing that Betty is going to focus on in this green patch of grass. Okay?
Is that a yam of
Yes. Then, when she opens that, she's going to cut that yam open, and she discovers when she actually picks that yam up and she breaks it open, that the inside of that yam is bright pink. So she wants to study it. She wants to look through it. She wants to figure out why. She's going to stop what she's doing, and she's going to explore it and elaborate. Okay?
How does she do this?
You'll figure out in just a second why Betty's 3 years old. No, I came up with it last block. Because I came up with the story last block. So I didn't have the opportunity. I did it on the fly.
So was there a lot of laughing last block? Or were
They told me that I clearly got too much sun on vacation.
That's really mean.
Okay, does everybody have this story down? The bones of our story. Okay, while you're still copying that down, I want you to take your 4 pieces of notebook paper. This was number 5. This was one of them. You should have 4 left. Does that make sense? Okay. And then you're going to fold them the same way we did for informative. You're going to fold them over hamburger style. And then you're going to fold them one more time. Doesn't really lend itself to any sort of picnic food, but you're just going to fold it one more time so that it kind of looks like you have a hot dog bun. Mexico. Okay, I've got 7 minutes to go through this introduction and for you to pack up. So I really need you to stop the conversations. This will be your second redirect, by the way. So if you don't want to earn a paperclip today and push back your music week, fine with that. Now, I like to draw the lines or draw the folds. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I'm going to. And up at the top, I want you to write intro. We're only doing intro. Now, what does every paper start with?
Captain Hook.
Which is a
Hook.
hook. Very good. A hook. What is Captain Hook doing right now?
The princess.
Flying.
Okay, if he's walking and they're all following, what's he doing?
Grab
You're the
your
leader.
attention.
Lead. Somebody said it, lead.
Are we going to do another Captain Hook thing?
Okay, let's imagine that this blue highlighter is a river, okay? Now, Captain Hook is using these 3 people, and he's going over the river. Bridge. Good job. Now, Betty is what color? What color's her dress? Betty's dress is blue. How old is Betty? 3. How many rows do you think that are going to be blue? 3. Good. So you're going to highlight hook in blue, lead in blue, and bridge in blue.
Betty's special. She's a special 3-year-old. She should be born, but she got no.
She's a president.
Now, again, moving on without you, whether you're with me or not. What does the introduction paragraph always end with? No. That's your paper. Say it again. The thesis. Very good. And what color is my thesis? Green. Very good.
How old is the thesis?
How old is the thesis? The thesis is the patch of grass.
How old is it?
How old is it? I don't know how old the thesis is.
It's new grass.